DiGence is an award-winning tool designed to kind of help organization drive precision into decision making. It essentially enables you to kind of cover inefficiencies, uncover inefficiencies, I should say, and optimize operational performance. It was, it's just won a couple of awards. And essentially what it does is combines advanced AI capabilities with a clear focus on delivering real world business outcomes. So you might say, okay, great, Lauren, that sounds great, but what does that actually really mean? So in a nutshell, the DiGence tool puts your business under a microscope. But I must say, DiGence is not just a tool, it's also a framework. And there's 3 stages to this framework. We have assess. This is around us kind of really understanding kind of what the business looks like. Align, which is taking that data that we could kind of collect and then reviewing it and analyzing it. And acting is about creating an actionable roadmap that essentially enables you to go on and complete goals. So a little bit further into detail then. Essentially that assess is showing you what you don't know, align, making the possible visible, and acting is transforming together. So I will show you now quickly. Can I just check with Ali and Craig, my screen has changed. Fingers crossed. Okay, fabulous. Cool, so this is, I'm just using one of our demo screens at this point here, but essentially what we aim to do is kind of really get under the hood of a business. And to do this, what we'll look at doing is, first of all, understanding how that business is made up. So we have a couple of conversations to understand really what departments and functions sit within the business. So when you're thinking department, you're thinking kind of the who, and the function being the what of the business. And once we've done that, what we look at doing is determining the how they do these things, and that's through our processes. So we capture processes, we do a series of interviews really with our clients to understand how they complete their tasks. And we kind of start off by saying, okay, we've got this particular starting point. What actually happens in that process? So we complete a full process map. But we don't just do a process map. What we do is we drill in and we collect a lot of data at step level of those processes. So during this time, we are asking you around, okay, how many times are you doing this? Who's doing this? How difficult is it for you to do? Where's your data coming from and to? What happens if it goes wrong? How likely is it going to go wrong? If it's not completed, what does that actually mean in terms of your business? So we capture lots of data that we can quantify really in terms of the business and at a kind of step level. But we also then kind of capture qualitative data as well. So we might say, for example, okay, if this, this task has some high impact errors, how could you improve it? What risks does this pose to the business? How does the data move? How likely are your data points going to be incorrect or missing? So we like to capture lots of feedback really at every step of this process. And then once we've kind of done that assessment piece, that is kind of the viewing and showing what you don't know, we then go through and look at kind of analyzing this data. And we do this through a series of ways. So in terms of the alignment piece, let's just move on to some of the reports that we get and we can access. And what I should say is, so we actually have some AI sort of running in the background that essentially helps view and analyze the data for us, and it gives us some insights. I won't go too much into that now, but essentially what we aim to do is look at putting your business really onto a scoring, and we create really this the spider graph of where your business is now and where it has the potential to be, with whether that's sort of through use of AI, whether that's utilizing automation, whether it is looking at some of the systems that you have in place already, whether they're being underutilized and you can look at utilizing them more. We look at all of this data, and what you can do is you can drill into some of these points and you get some graphics on each of these. So these ones are very much relating to sort of time and cost, so really good for C-suite and boards. You can kind of get a real view here of actually in terms of this particular demo client, they spend a lot of their time on stock control and inventory. Actually, let's drill into that a little bit more. Well, actually, they're full on growing things. That kind of makes sense in this instance. But you can kind of then start to see outliers. And essentially what we do through this process, so you can look at this at a very micro level, in terms of drilling down to a particular department, to a function, even in some instances to a process, or you look at it as a business as a whole, and get that kind of real 360 holistic view. One of the other ones that is quite nice to show as well is in relation to the operations data. So this is really insightful to a lot of businesses, because what you can do is say, actually, so your finance team, for example, are spending 1,300 days a year, which is calculated from the number of people in the team doing those particular tasks, and sort of is validated as kind of we go through all of these. You can actually say, actually, that's a bit of a cause for concern. Let's have a look at what the finance team are doing. Where is that time going? Well, actually, 1,000 days of time is being spent on financial processing. So let's drill into that a bit more. And what you can do is drill all the way down. Oops, just clicked on the wrong tab. That's not ideal. But essentially, what you can do is filter this all the way down, and then understand process-wise, where is your time going? So when it comes to that financial processing, we're looking at actually purchasing is taking most of the time. Is that an area we need to look at either integrating, different systems? Do we need to look at the processes of what they're doing? Is it manual? How can we improve on that particular area? And what you can do, so you can click on this data as well, and you can see actually, well, this is the process, these are the steps, and this point here, you can say actually, so a buyer posting receipt takes a good chunk of these particular actions, or this amount of time. So can we look at making that process faster? Can we get them to take a photo of that receipt and then utilize AI to improve that kind of user experience or employee experience? So we have a look at this, like I said, from both that very high level view of a business as a whole, but also then sort of drill down, like I said, to a process and even step level, to start looking at kind of recommendations. We also view things like the time that's spent per role. And again, that is process level, that is function level and department level, as well as organization. So you can then start to see, what does this actually mean? Where is most of the time coming from? And you can start to take actions within that. What I would say about this as well is, so one of the questions that we do ask as we're going through that interview process is around what happens if we actually decide to say, let's look at scaling the business. So if you want to scale, what this tool essentially enables you to do is show you your pinch points. It enables you to say, okay, this particular area, if we scale up, we need double staff in this particular area, or this team is going to really feel it. This could be where the kind of the breaks are. And essentially what that enables you to do is then take action and say, well, actually, is there any way that we can automate some of these particular tasks or roles? Is there any way that we could, by spending a little bit of time integrating two systems, can we reduce processes? And essentially the way around this is to look at it from an ROI point of view. So as part of this, this process, what we will do is have conversations with you guys or with our clients to understand really what long-term goals you're looking to try and achieve. Are you looking for M&A? Are you looking to scale? Are you looking, what are you aiming to do sort of within the next sort of 3 to 5 years? And what's stopping you completing those goals? How can technology help? So lots of kind of graphics and viewpoints on here just to kind of show this. This is kind of always my favorite one, just to kind of highlight in terms of the big bubbles, but you can kind of see sort of different kind of systems and how the data is transferred. Excel always falls into that manual data, and I haven't yet done this on a business, and we've done it on a fair few where Excel doesn't pop up at some point. It's a brilliant tool, but yeah, and hats off to those that are currently running businesses on it. But what we can do is see that actually, in terms of the inputs and outputs of data, a lot of the time people are running businesses off of spreadsheets when they actually have systems in place that do 90% of what it is that you're trying to achieve. So it's about understanding how you can look at adjusting or adapting those tools to get that additional 10% and reduce risk of data duplication, wrong data entry, and things like that. So essentially, following this, what we produce is a report of insights on business and then recommendations. And those recommendations essentially lead into initiatives for, whether it's AI-based initiatives or business automation, because essentially there is going to always be in that journey, starting off with that process of laying those foundations. So making sure that you've got your data sources, that the data that's being entered is of a good quality. There's lots of kind of conversations around getting AI ready for some of those situations.